Welcome, fighters. I'm coming back at you with another one. Well, this is going to be kind of like a partial wrap up, your Friday wrap up, with a follow up to my previous video of Nothing Ever Happens. But, I kind of wanted to further expand on that whole thing. And, you heard it and we already talked about it. If you haven't, go watch the video. But, people always say, oh, it's never going to happen or nothing happens. And there's that old, is that a Confucius saying or whatever, where they say, you're blessed if nothing happens. To live a boring life is actually a blessing, and an exciting life is a curse. There's also that saying, there's centuries go by or hundreds of years go by of nothing, and then there's weeks that go by where everything happens. And you don't really want to be in those weeks because they often turn pretty bad. Those weeks or even days sometimes. But, people say it's never going to happen, and in my opinion, it is. It's just a slow death, like we talked about, death by 1,000 cuts. That way it's the slow bleed out. It doesn't happen all at once. I just had a bathroom remodel. I don't know if I talked about that in the other video, but I've been using the analogy because when the guy was building the bathtub, or it was like the shower floor, I was watching him do it, and he put the leveler out, and the bubble moved, up to the side a little bit, and I was like, oh, well, that's not straight. And he was like, oh, but yeah, no, that's exactly what I want. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, because it goes to the drain. And then on the other side, it's the opposite. It goes slightly, declines into the other way. So it funnels into the drain. And I was like, oh, yeah, goes to show what I know about building bathroom floors. But from the naked eye, it looks straight. But there is a slight decline. So, and that's kind of the metaphor for the country. It's almost like you can't really tell, but it is a slow drain spiraling down the drain. And it's the boiling frog metaphor, the like when someone an addict or whatever is detoxing off drugs, or whenever they take you off of a drug, you're on whatever 25 milligrams of whatever it is, and they'll put you to a 15 and then a 10 and a 5, maybe even a 2.5, and then you take one like every other day, and they slowly get you off. But that's what's happening, man. Things are working slow, and it's designed that way so most people don't even see it coming. And then you and I, the awake populace, sees it, but there's nothing really you can do about it when it's this slow and things are spaced out. But that's kind of what I want to further expand on and just talk about. Is it all just doom and gloom, and for clicks? It seems like a lot of these channels now are just running the same content over and over again. And I've talked about it before. It's a lot of shills and a lot of get in here and buy my course, and do this, and promo code Patriot, and you get whatever, so and so 10% off of your ammo this weekend, or and just all this stuff. But man, I used to work for a warehouse setting, where we distributed goods and stuff like that, and stocked up, stuff. But it was like, it came to my mind during working there that there's a greater, I feel like they're intertwined with these stores and stuff to sell stuff. um I'm trying not to get too specific here, but it's like, when things go on sale, I'm not surprised that there's not a larger conspiracy there. Like, how you remember how during the CVID thing, the toilet paper stuff went crazy, and it was like everyone jumped on it all at once. All the channels were like, get your toilet paper, rush to toilet paper, and all this stuff. And it's a coincidence they're all saying the same thing at once. And people play those liberal, CNN, MSNBC, and all the liberal podcasters, they play those montages of them all saying something at once, and they're like, oh, the script must have gone out, but they don't hold our side accountable to the same thing. And it's like they're all doing the same thing, and they're all pushing the same thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some larger conspiracy there just to sell goods. And Nate at Canadian Preparedness has talked about it before, where he was like, yeah, I don't think they have a problem with. At first, like, preppers were really like niche, and I guess you would say like viewed as extremist, and they really didn't want it. I don't feel like they feel like that anymore. I feel like they thought like, hey, we can corner the market, and these people are um a a valued part of the economy because they're consumers too. That's what they want. I mean, this is a consumer nation, and they want you to consume, right? They want you to buy products and get stuff, and they really don't care if you're stocking up. Really, the only thing, and this is what I was getting to at Canadian Preparedness, he was like, really the government had no problem with his preparedness business and his channel and all that. When he gets pushback is when he starts talking about government. And he always said, like, they don't care if you're prepared for a storm or whatever you think you need to get prepared for. They don't like when you're prepared plus politics. They don't like when you mix in government and other stuff like that. They so again, I don't think they care, and I feel like when they have a overabundant stock of toilet paper, or you remember a while back it was like candles. Everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know why, but they were all pushing, oh, go get the candles." I mean, it was probably storm season or something. Another time it was propane tanks. Every channel out there was like, "Oh, go get your propane." And I remember, and I fell for it a lot, a lot of the times. And I went to Walmart, and all the little green cans were sold out. And then I went to the hardware store, and then I went just to my local, grocery chain where they have a fill up of propane canisters outside, and everything was wiped out. And that's, I think, when it came to me, I'm just like, is this stuff really like going out and not going to be obtainable, or are they just like rotating stock and getting rid of stuff? But for the crowd of, oh no, it's never happening, it's eventually going to happen. And heck, it is happening. I mean, you got the LA riots and all the crazy stuff going on. You got the Wendy's burned down and all that stuff, and the Ferguson riots, or when, I don't even remember when that was. But I mean, that's the point. It's so constant at this point, you really can't even remember, what is all this stuff. And is that the end of the world? I mean, no. When someone loots the CVS or burns down the Wendy's or loots the Target, it's not SHTF. It's not the end of the world, but, it does foment anger, and people harbor that anger, and they see this stuff and they don't do anything about it, but they hold it in, and one day they're gonna snap. One day this nation is gonna snap. And that's the scariest part of it. When I was saying, are you prepared for nothing to happen? Because that's kind of the other angle of it. If everyone just holds everything in, and I feel like it's just like it has to happen, but on the other end of that, it's like, if nothing happens, are you prepared to continue to live in this system, the forever doom and gloom, like just bad news, protests and riots every weekend and looting and living in a forever inflationary situation where you just get poorer and poorer and you never own anything, but you'll be happy, right? Um, and again, it's like this can draw out for another 20, 30, 50 years, whatever it's going to be. But I feel at some point, regardless of it all, it's going to happen. At some point it's inevitable. It's human nature. I'm just convinced, of that. But maybe that'll be another video. I'll go further into that. But, Thomas Jefferson, said every 20 years there should be a revolution, or that the Tree of Liberty needed to be refreshed. And I just recently did a video on the founders. If you listen to them, you'll find out that they weren't opposed to violence. If you read the Declaration of Independence or Federalist Papers, you'll find out they're not these weak, passive cucks that Fox News makes you think they are. Oh, there's a democratic process that plays out, and our founders would have, voted and, done all this. No, when the tyrant's tyrant, you lay down the law, and not the law on paper or anything like that, man's law. You're like, no, I will not be treaded on. I will not have another man's boot on my neck. I will not live like that. And if it comes down to a fight, then it's so be it. But the founding fathers didn't wait to petition the court or go have court cases with the king or whatnot, and all these gun channels concept. I keep saying I'm gonna do this USCCA video. That's definitely coming. Looking out for that. But these channels are always talking about, oh, this case is going to court, or that, or this needs to get held heard by SCOTUS. These cases take 8, 9 years, whatever, to a decade to get to SCOTUS. Meanwhile, you're in legal limbo trying to figure out what you can have or if you can be free. The answer is you were always free. And you can always have, in the Constitution, you have the right to bear arms that shall not be infringed. And it's like the founding fathers made it pretty clear on, Lexington and Concord, what they thought about tyranny and the oppressive forces, which is government, whether you want to look at them at a military or police, level. But the McCluskeys and stuff like that. I just heard a report that they haven't got their firearms back, and again, that's a Lexington and Concord moment right there. Every gun confiscation and illegal firearms law is Lexington and Concord. But we're just like, oh, for some reason, because we lick the boot and we love the boot, it's like, oh no, worship the police as they take your guns, leave you defenseless, and screw you over. But and I mean the Second Amendment is clear on it. A lot of people don't even read the full, is it the Bill of Rights, or wherever the full thing is in there. And I can't remember if it's the second part of it. Yeah, I'm ashamed I can't mention myself, but it's not just the shall not be infringed part. There's a second quote in there that says, you have the duty to abolish or overthrow your own government. It mentions that. Now I can't remember if that was in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights or what part of it. I might try to get a clip of it or whatnot and post it in here. But and then as we talked about the Zohran Mondami thing winning in New York, and I watched this video the other day. I think it was in Ilhan Omar's district, where they pretty much took it over. I mean, it's a full-on Muslim takeover over there. But And there was this lady posted on X. She must be pretty popular because the video went viral. At least it got like 1 million views, and it was of this Muslim lady, and it was of a white woman, and she said hello to the Muslim lady, and she goes, "I don't speak to foreigners." And it reminded me of the song. I forget the song's name, but it goes, "In our hometowns we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed." It's we will have our home again, I think is what it's called. By God, we will have our homes again. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our homes. But anyway, the point I was getting to is, you allow your cities, your your states, your country to flip like this. And the Constitution essentially tells even these Muslims, as they give them citizenship and all this stuff in all these countries, that they have a Second Amendment right, and if the government doesn't represent them, that they have a duty to abolish or overthrow it. So again, this is going to lead to lots of problems in the future, and I just don't see how it doesn't collapse. I don't see how we don't end in a civil war or revolution. So, you know, is it all just doom and gloom? Is it all just some plot to sell, um, items and stuff like that? Let me know, man, what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. All the stuff. Until the next one, man, you know what it is. We are on our own. Nobody's coming to save us. So get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom fighters out.